Hello, my name is Julia, and today I will be doing a July wrap-up. I know it's kind of not what people expect to see a July wrap-up in the second half of August. Nevertheless, that's what I want to start with on my channel. So the first book I read in July was If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is surely a dark academia classic, not as much a classic as The Secret History. Still, it's quite famous. And, well, I didn't find it very original. No, you take The Secret History, and instead of Bunny, you have Henry, and instead of Homer, you have Shakespeare. That's what If We Were Villains was to me. And yet, it was still fun as hell. I definitely enjoyed reading it, and I would call it like a solid 4 star, I believe. After that, I read two middle grade books by Vera Novitskaya. Her name won't say anything to you if you're not a native speaker of Russian. And even if you are, I'm not sure if you have heard of her, so I will probably skip this part. After her books, I moved on to The Secret of Whitestone Gate by Julia Nobel. This one is a sequel to The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane. So, The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane was a middle grade book with a certain vibe of dark academia. You know, the setting is a private school in England. Yeah, I believe it is in England. Gothic buildings, Latin, and of course the Latin teacher is extremely villainous. That's it, definitely dark academic. And actually, The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane was my favorite book of the month of June. As for the sequel, which I read in July, I didn't enjoy it as much as the original book. It was not as much dark academic as The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane. There was also less suspense, and it was not, therefore, as absorbing as The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane, which proved to be a real page turner to me. And after that, I moved to some classics. I reread Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. You see, I have this absolutely gorgeous edition. I think it's the Wordsworth collector's edition. I absolutely adore it, really I do. Yeah, this book was a reread. I first read it when I was 12, and back then I was absolutely horrified by everything happening in it, and I purely and simply detested the whole book. But this year I decided to reread it and maybe change my opinion. And yeah, this time my opinion proved to be completely opposite. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so gripping, and I literally couldn't put it down for a moment. And when I had to put it down and finally go to bed, I couldn't sleep because I wanted to know what was due to happen on the next page. And so, Wuthering Heights might well prove to be the book of the year for me this time. And this is what I would call a timeless classic. I also read a non-fiction book by Yuval Noah Harari, which is called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Harari is the guy who wrote Suspense, if you were wondering. And this book, 21 Lessons, definitely give me some food for thought. No, it's definitely a good non-fiction book. And yet, it was like written 5 years ago, and so some of the suppositions of Harari about the nearest future, like the nearest 5 years, proved to be completely wrong. And at some point, I was desperate to laugh or cry or both at the same time, just because he was saying, "Oh no, it's not impossible," and it's happening right now. Then I also wanted to mention that though Harari himself um, said that that he set out to write about what today was, in the end, the book proved to be more about Harari's probing digressions about what the future will be like and what we should do about the future, rather than a description of the present day world and society. Then yeah, that's all what I want to tell you about the 21 lessons for the 21st century. And I also read one more nonfiction book this month. It was a biography of Nicholas I of Russia. He ruled from 1825 to 1855. I believe that this is a magnificent era. Romanticism and all that stuff. I genuinely love this period, and I also happen to know that Nicholas I had a magnetic personality. Well, not to mention him being extremely handsome in his early years. And so I wanted to know more about, to learn more about his rule and what he did to the vast dominions of the Russian Empire. So it was a nice read. It's definitely not for everyone. For, reading 600 pages about a Russian emperor isn't so what everyone would like. And the final book in July was My Grandmother Asked Me to tell you she's sorry by Frederick Bachman. I know that Bachman is hugely popular all around the globe, and still somehow I haven't not have acquainted him before. So this book was my first read of Bachman. I think that I liked it. I can say that I really really loved it. It's definitely not the best thing I ever read, but it was amusing. It was common and all in all good. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I read it in December, for the setting is December and Sweden, scarves, snow, and cinnamon rolls, and not in hot and not on a hot July day as I did read it. I was appalled, really. I was appalled by the relationship of the main character Elsa with her mom, because for me this all was so unfamiliar. I have great relationship with my mother, and at the same time I could not maybe totally, but a lot relate to the situation with other kids bullying Elsa. I was also bullied when I was younger, and so I really felt compassion towards her. Yeah, I think it was compassion. And what I extremely loved about this book was how Bachman erased the border between imagination, especially the imagination of Elsa, and the reality. They intertwine and create something in between fiction and reality. And this is fascinating. Basically, it is. So, thank you for watching this video. And if you want to see me again talking about books, please subscribe to my channel, Julia Caesar. And I hope that you have a wonderful week.